everyone. It's 8:30. I know everyone is hungry, so we'll try to keep it short. Vibe coding, is it a fad or is it really the future? And a disclaimer before we start. So we heard and watched two great talks about AI, agents, LLMs, and all of those buzzwords. So I'm Luís Oliveira, and with me is David, and we are traditional engineers. So we are not experts on AI, so this is a use case where we just heard about a thing called vibe coding, and let's do it, let's try it. So we're not experts on AI. We have at our company people at xgeeks who are experts in AI. So what is vibe coding? I saw this in Twitter like 2 months ago, probably it's older, but I noticed this on Twitter 2 months ago, and I think it's like a new paradigm in software development, using AI to assist with normal software and product development, and it's fast. So half of the tweets about vibe coding just say that it's fast. Great. That's what we wanted, and I will show you why. So we focus on outputs instead of the usual process step by step that traditional engineers, foreign engineers like me are used to. So it has an emphasis on creative flow, removing technical barriers, especially for non-technical users. And it has some trade-offs that we will discuss along the way.
So for today's journey, what are we going to cover? We're going to basically talk about 2 scenarios that we've been working on the past 2-3 months. I don't remember anymore, but it's something around those lines. The first scenario is an e-commerce store where we wanted to build something from scratch as a side hustle. We wanted to earn some money, but we didn't want to spend that much effort to earn it. So that's one of the cases that we're going to talk about. And the second one is this actual presentation. So everything that we have here was almost AI generated with our direction, and we're also going to explore a bit that. And we're also going to talk about what, in our opinion, is going to be a bit of the future of vibe coding.
Okay, so the first one, like David said, we wanted to build a side hustle, but we have day-to-day jobs as software engineers. So basically, we wanted to make money fast without effort. This was the whole goal of the vibe coding approach. So we created a business. Let's say it's a business. We have a crazy idea of creating like an e-commerce store where targeting developers, where you could frame your code to be on your walls.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and it's gonna happen soon. So we're not there yet, but so all of this was kind of vibe coding. This is the landing page. We didn't design first. We had 0 ideas about the design. All we had was the concept. So, and this was like first shot design. It was great. It's fine. Let's move on with it. So, the selling point of this store is for you to build your own poster, meaning that you would have to code. You would have to code in the application itself. You would have to choose color themes and stuff like that, font style, font family. So yeah, this was the most complex page to develop from.
Just to add, like what you see here is the actual output of what you were going to be putting up on your wall, and everything here is custom, so you could basically customize everything that's there.
Yeah. So from an engineering perspective, while this was a simple landing page, static content, this one was really rich interactions, multiple states, a lot of options, and a lot of different things to set up. This, from an engineering perspective, this was hard to do. By the way, at this point we haven't even looked at the code. We have a functional website that we didn't even open an IDE to check the code.
So what were our main challenges here? We wanted to create an e-commerce store with limited time, limited resources. Again, we have day jobs, and this was supposed to be a side hustle. You can, yeah. We needed full stack development, we needed front end, back end, product, we needed design. We also needed to understand a bit about finance, how do we integrate with our government in order to pay taxes, everything around that. We knew that the traditional engineering approach would take us weeks. We didn't want to spend that much effort, we wanted to do something fast. And there were multiple technical domains, as I mentioned, mainly accountability, I guess, that we needed to do. So this was our first prompt. It's not great, but it's what we actually did to start as the context for what we wanted to do. We explained in the prompt what we wanted to achieve, what the store is about, who our target customers are, and we wanted to start somewhere. We needed to start somewhere, and we decided to start with our theming system. We wanted to focus first on appearances, and then we would move on into another set of features. This prompt set the base context for everything that happened next in the creation of the store. So the development journey was mostly a regular development journey. We iterated fast with the AI to create UIs and prototypes that we wanted to move fast in terms of design, and AI did everything basically there. We then moved on to the implementation. We actually made them functional and tried to interact with the components in the user experience so that we could test it. And then the last step was actually integrating everything. Okay, we have something that looks beautiful, we have the components that are separate, but now we need to intervene a bit and make everything work. This is also one of the prompts that we use to evolve the design. So it's just an example. We were repeatedly iterating over what were the outcomes of the AI. Again, in this stage, we didn't even look at the code. We were simply looking at the browser and we were doing prompts. And we came out with these results, for example. This is the product detail page. So you have the posters there, and we wanted to iterate over the theme selector. Themes like you have in your IDEs when you're developing, at least for more techie people. And this was the end result. It was great, but...
Okay, so not every prompt worked. We noticed this further down the road. So we would start with something like this. Let's iterate on the builder page. The options are X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. Then we would say basically that didn't work, even though it ran and the interface looked nice, that didn't work. So we continue iterating and so on, and this happened a lot. This still doesn't work, please fix it. This still doesn't work, please fix it. For example, for the builder page, there was a lot of state, and the AI really struggled with the state. And since we haven't opened the code till that point, when we opened the code base, it was really messy, and the state was spread all over the code base. There was not single source of truth. There were a lot of duplicated functions, a lot of duplicated logic. Our fault, but we were expecting it, since we didn't follow along with the code evolution. So, I believe many have seen this tweet, X, post, edit, whatever. So this is Leo, and Leo represents what we wanted at the start of our journey. Basically, we wanted to build a software as a service, and AI is great, and you can just start building it. And the important part, yes, people pay for it. So this was exactly what we wanted, money with little effort. So this was on the 15th of March. So you see that 2 days later, Leo is under attack. His software as a service doesn't work, and he probably didn't make any money at all, I would say. I don't know, I didn't follow Leo.
Yes. In the end, he actually closed the software as a service. But we do have technical background that he didn't have, so let's hope.
Yeah, that's an important part. So Leo was not a technical guy, and while this, I I don't want to say may look great because it looks great even for non-technical profiles and personas. I think a solid knowledge, understanding of fundamentals, principles, data structures, and so on, it's still important. So, everything was going well till it didn't go well. So, non-technical users can really, even technical users, by the way, but especially non-technical users might take the code-based development too far without noticing clear red flags that traditional, old-school engineers might be more aware of. Error handling was something that AI didn't really consider most of the time, so the happy paths were more successful than the non-happy paths. So AI kind of struggled finding out edge cases and those kind of scenarios. So security vulnerabilities, one thing I learned, we integrated Stripe into our store. Do not use vibe coding when integrating payment systems. This is just my recommendation, but you're on your own if you do it. Performance bottlenecks, I think this is more when you're looking at scale scenarios. So again, from our perspective, AI was more into making something quick, fast, and relatively simple than anticipating scenarios like a lot of users, a lot of information, heavy streams of data. So our feeling was that the AI is not really concerned on doing that unless you really expose that scenario. The code was a nightmare, so that's unmaintainable. We know it's our fault. I'm pretty sure there's 100,000 ways to do it better than we did, but this was what we set up to do. That's why we delayed opening the code base as far as we could.
So what were the key challenges that we faced with using vibe coding in this e-commerce store? Basically, the integration between several different components was very hard, even with several iterations and different prompts, different plans, different approaches that we wanted to explain. We still didn't get the builder page to work correctly. A lot of different state, a lot of integration between components, it gets really hard. Payment integration, we tried to have some kind of integration, but even while passing documentation from Stripe to the AI, we still had stuff like imaginary options in objects that we needed to pass in the API, which was kind of not cool. And the central theming system was also an issue. Like, we had several different pages on our e-commerce store, and we wanted the central theming system to be used, like the variables, the variants for the links, for the buttons, everything. And it really didn't maintain that well over time. Like, if we reprompted with the context of we want to do this with the framework, with the central theming system, it would kind of work in the next few iterations, but then it would kind of forget over time, and we needed to reiterate that again. And the code readability and maintenance, again, like we mentioned, we need engineering intervention there in order to make it maintainable over time. And the security concerns, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you have noticed, we only have one blinker. We didn't reverse this, so I think it's going fine, but you can notice that there's only one AI assistant here.
So what were the actual results of all this experimentation? The wins. We did have a functional store in days instead of weeks, and that's a major win for us. We wanted to do something fast as a side hustle. We had a clean, modern, and most of all responsive design, and we didn't do anything for that, and that's amazing, out of the box. And if we did continue to work on that, but we ran out of time, we would have achieved an incredible time to market.
I think I have one more win. It's not on the slides, but I think it's something that is worth sharing. So, since we're using an AI to help us create this product/software, it had as time went by, it gathered all the context of our idea. So we kind of knew what we wanted to build. It was funny because, and that was something that I completely was not expecting. At some point, so we know a little bit about product, we know a little bit about software and so on, but we know nothing about finance. So registering a company, what taxes do we need to pay and so on. And kind of organically, we started prompting these kind of questions to AI because it had the context about what we wanted to build. And I can say that even for the Portuguese finance company registration and taxes stuff, AI helped a lot, something that we were not expecting. We ended up creating, I don't know what it's called in the finance.
Any?
Yeah, we created a nanny to sell this.
So for the trade-offs, what were the major trade-offs that we had? Performance inefficiencies, especially on the builder page. We needed engineering knowledge for major integrations, builder payments, and other complex areas that we needed to do. And the maintenance effort builds up over time, if there's no oversight from engineering while doing the integration. Because we want to keep things fast, I'm going to skip this slide because this is just a bonus slide with the prompt that we used. So we're going to move on to our second case study, which was this presentation.
So even though we are traditional engineers, I really like this vibe coding stuff. I have another term for it at the end. So why not create this presentation itself? A little bit of dog fooding on the vibe coding. We vibe coded this presentation. This is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's something that the AI is very comfortable with. It's not a PowerPoint. I believe maybe there's AI for PowerPoint and so on. So we basically created this presentation. We set the concept, like you always do when you're creating a talk. The visual design, that by the way, this is Cyberpunk, so I'm 40 plus years old, so I didn't even knew there was a thing called Cyberpunk design. Okay? Yeah, it's a thing. I discovered that. So it helped creating the content, refining, iterating on the final product, in this case a presentation.
And this was our main prompt for the presentation. With this single prompt, we created basically 80% of the content that we have here, the baseline, the structure, and then we only needed to iterate over the rest of the 20%. So we
Kind of,
yeah, because we spent a lot of time with linking.
Not we. So if you notice the initial slide, so it has a fan falling down that blinks like a messed up neon sign. So we did this in kind of together. We did this presentation in kind of 4 hours, and then David went out 8 hours fixing that fan.
We can show it in the end. And yeah, that prompt basically set everything up. Can you go back just 1 second? We explained what we wanted to do, what topics we wanted to cover, what were the main prompts that we wanted to give, what the use cases we were going to explain. Also the punchlines that we wanted to convey in order for the kind of storyline going where we wanted it to go. And yeah, it did great, basically. From concept to completion, we iterated over it, of course, but instead of spending several hours or even days with this presentation, again, because we wanted to move fast, we only spent a few hours, except for the fan. So yeah, we iterated again over this like we iterated from the store, and we achieved the result with great success. This one was a great success. So where does vibe coding actually shine? This was also an effect from the AI. With rapid prototyping and MVPs, POCs, everything that we need to show, and we basically old school made it like wireframes, and now we can actually make it functional and get a lot more feedback right away, which is great, even for enterprise products, I mean. For solo developers, small teams, basically any engineer that wants to be more productive while knowing what they're doing. For content creation, like this presentation and other presentations, that's for sure. Also internal tools and automations in companies, it's also a great use case And also for learning new technologies, but take this with a grain of salt, I guess. It kind of helps to learn in new areas by pointing you in the right direction of where you need to learn and read, basically.
Okay, so where do we believe that engineering knowledge and fundamentals still matter? Production grade systems, so you can do a lot of useful stuff even in production systems like proof of concept, gather rapid feedback and so on, but the generated code base has to be oversighted, and you will need a lot of manual intervention at a lot of points during this process. Security critical applications, I think AI is not there yet, at least that's our opinion. Performance optimizations, again, AI doesn't really seem to focus on performance unless you tell it exactly how to build it, which is something we didn't done. So complex integrations, Stripe was one example. There's a lot of, I think this has a word like imagination or hallucination. So AI thinks of whatever you're integrating, AI believes it has a perfect way of integrating. That might be a good idea, but that doesn't exist in reality. So long-term maintenance, this is a nightmare. So, and I think this will take some time to get there. It still be. I was wondering who this slide was for. So, vibe coding for speed, engineering knowledge for robustness, for scale, for production systems. And this is basically what we've already talked about. So, for the piece's sake, I will move on. So, and this was something that I think I'm really enthusiastic about, the AI, assisted development, agents, and all of those shiny new things. But I think I'm more enthusiastic about the vibe engineering kind of approach instead of a vibe coding approach. So we didn't got reach in 2 months, which is 60 days. It's a long time, so vibe coding didn't really help on that. But it can really reduce the workload of creating code bases if you can instruct it on how to do stuff. And it really is, it's really like pair programming all day, except it's not with a human, which sometimes it's boring if you have pair programmed for a long time. So it's better than with a human in this case.
So to summarize, where is vibe coding and where do we think it is? It's not a fad, but it's definitely not the whole future. Engineering still has a lot of guidance, a lot of direction that we need to put on building the project, but it is a powerful new tool in our engineering toolkit that we can take advantage of in order to build great things. Thank you for your attention, and we can move on to questions or eat pizza.
Or we'll be around. Just one thing before, okay? Some people are gonna clap, which is great, but I just want to go back to the first slide. Bear with me, just a few seconds. So all of this, all of the presentation. Wait.
You didn't vibe code a reset?
Okay. So this part probably took longer. I didn't spend any time, we did. But this part took longer than the whole presentation itself. Please, thank you for your attention.
Yeah, I think this is a great topic to discuss of how to approach these guys and do that question. Is it okay? Well, we have so many questions, we can't answer all of them. Please do it offline, okay?
One over here.
Or,
Just do it offline.
Mine is quick. I'm curious what you used to build this. Like, what did you use Ball.U or did you use?
Yeah, for sure. We used Cursor, which is kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it. He was using IntelliJ with Juni. I was using Cursor and I was using Sonnet 3.7 in the agent model so that we could keep context and using tools and all that.
Just because an old school engineer uses an IDE instead of a text editor.
Okay, let's thank the speakers again.
Thank you.